You have heard these words before. Maybe in temples, maybe in books, maybe in conversations that sounded spiritual. But let me ask you something. Why is Shiva called Satyam Shivam Sundaram? Why do we know the words but not the reality behind them? There is a moment in every life when the noise stops working. You have tried distraction, you have tried achievement, you have tried belief. Still, something feels unfinished. This video begins there, not with answers, but with a quiet question. What is real? Not what you were told, not what you were trained to repeat. What remains when everything else falls away? That is where Satyam begins. Satyam means truth, but not the kind you argue about, not the kind that changes with opinion or mood. Satyam is what stays. When your name disappears, when your roles dissolve, when your stories collapse. Satyam is what is left when nothing is performed. You close your eyes, thoughts rise, thoughts fall, memories appear, memories fade. Yet something is watching. That watcher does not age, it does not get promoted, it does not break. That silent presence has always been there, before success, before failure, before language. That is Satyam. Truth is not loud. Truth does not advertise. Truth does not beg for belief. Truth simply is. Most of life is spent avoiding this truth because if you see it clearly, everything false must go. Satyam is uncomfortable at first. It strips you. It exposes the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. That is why people fear truth. But Satyam alone is not enough. Truth without warmth can become cruel. Truth without wisdom can harden the heart. That is where Shivam enters. Shivam means auspiciousness, not luck. Shivam means that which heals by transforming. Shiva is the principle of awareness that burns illusion. When truth is seen, Shivam decides what happens next. Do you resist or do you allow yourself to change? Shivam is the courage to let false identities die. It is the moment you stop defending pain, the moment you stop justifying confusion, the moment you stop lying to yourself quietly. Shivam is not gentle in the way comfort is gentle. Shivam is gentle in the way fire is honest. Fire does not hate wood. Fire simply turns wood into light. Shivam takes the raw truth of Satyam and makes it livable. Without Shivam, truth becomes dry philosophy. With Shivam, truth becomes liberation. This is why Shiva is called the Great Destroyer. He destroys what blocks clarity, pride, fear, spiritual performance, the need to appear enlightened. Shivam removes the costume, and when the costume falls, something unexpected happens. You breathe easier. Life begins to align. Decisions become simpler. You stop forcing meaning. This alignment is auspiciousness, not because life becomes perfect, but because it becomes honest. Shivam teaches you a deep secret. Truth is not meant to be carried like a burden. Truth is meant to set you free. And when truth is lived, something starts to radiate naturally. This is Sundaram. Sundaram means beauty, not decoration, not surface attraction, not perfection. Sundaram is harmony. It is what happens when truth flows through consciousness without resistance. A river is beautiful not because it tries to be. It is beautiful because it moves freely. A person becomes beautiful the same way, not through effort, through alignment. When Satyam is realized and Shivam is embodied, Sundaram appears on its own. In the eyes, in the voice, in the silence between words. Beauty is not added, beauty is revealed. That is why a simple gesture can feel sacred, why an old face can feel luminous, why a quiet presence can calm a room. Sundaram is truth made visible. The universe itself follows this law. At its core is stillness. That is Satyam. From that stillness arises awareness and order. That is Shivam. From that order arises form, sound, color. rhythm. That is Sundaram. Existence is not random. It is composed like music. Silence becomes vibration. Vibration becomes melody. Melody becomes song. This is why sound has power. Why mantra works. Why geometry moves something inside us. Because the world is condensed resonance. In the deepest traditions, this is explained through speech itself. Before words exist, there is silent knowing. That is Satyam. Before sound is spoken, there is meaning felt. That is Shivam. When sound finally emerges, when meaning takes form, that is Sundaram. Speech follows consciousness, and consciousness follows truth. When speech is disconnected from truth, it feels empty. When expression is disconnected from awareness, it feels noisy. But when all three align, even a single word can heal. This alignment is rare. Most people live split lives. They know something is true, but they do not live it. They try to look good, but they are not aligned. They chase beauty, but ignore truth. This creates tension. Satyam without Sundaram becomes cold. Sundaram without Satyam becomes fake. Shivam without clarity becomes blind belief. But when all three unite, life becomes simple. Not easy, simple. You stop pretending. You stop forcing. You stop performing spirituality. You become real. And reality, when lived fully, is beautiful. This is not an idea to believe. It is an experience to enter. Sit quietly. Notice what does not move. That is Satyam. Allow what is false to dissolve. Without drama, without guilt. That is Shivam. Let life express itself honestly through you. In your work, in your relationships, in your silence. That is Sundaram. One reality seen clearly.